right. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I see so many people popping up. Thank you so much for joining and being with us today. We have so many things to cover today, so I am just gonna hop right in. So welcome to our second session, QuickBooks Online 102 for nonprofits, and we're gonna be talking all about strategies for success. My name is Yulia Zhernovaya. I'm head of growth at Giveffect. Giveffect is all-in-one platform for nonprofits, and it combines everything and anything from your donor, volunteer, marketing, grants, major gifts management to help you remove silos between department and increase revenue and communications with your supporters. And today, same as last week, we are so excited to welcome our guest speaker, Gregg Bossen. He's a CPA and a president of QuickBooks Made Easy. Gregg, I pass it to you.
All right. All right. Hey, how's it going, everybody? So if you could find the chat right now, I want everybody to find the chat. And then in the chat, because that's how I want you to ask me questions, I want you to just tell me, did you come last week or is this your first time? Were you here last week or is this your first time? Okay. First time, first time, first time, first time. Oh, wow.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
All right.
Here last week. Okay.
All right. All right. Keep going. Let's get it for everybody because, I can see every single one of you.
That's
So, like, say Emmanuel Cabrera decided not to answer. Oh, there you are. Hey, Emmanuel. All right. How about Gwen? Gwen, are you here? This is not your normal little 30-minute webinar. We intend to shame you and ridicule you in front of the larger group. No, I'm just kidding. All right. All right. Okay. So, just so you know who I am, I'm a CPA. I specialize in nonprofit organizations. So I do audits of nonprofits. I do about 150 990s of nonprofits. I do bookkeeping for nonprofits. We have an accounting firm here in Atlanta, Georgia, that does all this stuff. We do it for people all over the country. That's one thing I do. The other thing I do is I teach QuickBooks. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now, assuming it'll let me. Yeah. So I'm going to share my screen. This is our website. It's called QuickBooksMadeEasy.com. All we do is teach nonprofits how to use QuickBooks to track the funky, weird things that you need to track. I also, we do it through webinars. We do it through on-demand training. We do it for through technical support where you can call us up and we can even set up appointments and remote in. So that's all we do. Okay. And I also, if you ever go to TechSoup, have you guys heard of TechSoup? Put it in the chat. I assume that's where you get QuickBooks and Microsoft and all that stuff. If you ever want if you ever take a QuickBooks like webinar at TechSoup, I'm the guy who's going to be teaching it. It's the same way with Nonprofit Quarterly. It's the same way with Chronicle of Philanthropy. It's the same way with GrantStation and for about 30 state associations across the country. Okay.
everywhere they go, it's going to be you, Gregg.
Everywhere. They can't get away from me. They can't get away from me. All right. So, what I want to do is this is 102. So what I want to do in 101 last week, we just kind of talked about the differences between QuickBooks Online and desktop and what's happening with it in the future and did some real overall stuff. Now we're going to get into some little nitty gritty. So what I want to do is I'm going to spend about, I don't know, 8 minutes or so teaching you what I think is the biggest thing that you guys need to know about setting up your QuickBooks Online, and this is QuickBooks Online here, okay? The biggest thing you need to know about setting things up to get the reports you need if you are a nonprofit, okay? So we're going to do a little teaching here. It's going to take about 8 minutes. Then after that, it's all on y'all. She'll be asking me questions that you asked her to ask me. You can ask me questions directly, blah, 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 blah. All right? So here we go. First thing I'm going to do is going to teach for a second.
And while you're getting ready for everyone, yes, there is Tara, our colleague, just put the link to last week's session. So if you missed that session, there is a link there for you to watch on demand.
All right.
Okay.
So if you are, here I go. If you are a nonprofit, which I assume you are, that's why you're here, at least the people that you work for, or maybe you're volunteering. The way that you set your QuickBooks up is different than all other businesses in the world. Okay. It's actually more confusing. And the reason why it's more confusing is because there are three, not one, not two, but three. I'm going to say it one more time, three things that you need to track every time you enter a transaction in your accounting software, in this case, QuickBooks. Okay. The first thing that you need to track is what I call the natural category. Okay. Some people call it the account. And what I mean is, if I were to write a check to Office Depot because I bought some paper, what would the natural category be? Put it in the chat. What would the natural category be if I were to buy some paper at Office Depot? Supplies, right? Barry says, or some people call it office supplies. That's the natural category. That is the what of the expense. And every single one of you need to put that in QuickBooks. Now, if I were to get an individual donation, if Greg, let's say me, were to give you an individual donation for your organization, what natural category on the P&L would you put it to? What would be the income account that you would put a donation to? Some people call it general donations. Some people call it contributions. Some people call it individual income. I call it individual donations. So that's the natural category, okay? So those are natural categories. A common one for income is individual donations. Give me some natural categories that most nonprofits have. I named one, office supply. What else is there? What's some software, grants? Give me some expenses. Give me some expenses. Rent, equipment rental, IT, payroll, utilities, insurance, rent. Okay. Now, one person said program. Actually, two people. Felina said program. Sol said program expenses. Jerry K said program supplies. Wrong. Okay. A natural category is supposed to tell you the what or the object of the expense. If you buy expenses for a program, if you buy supplies for a program or you buy supplies for the office, it doesn't matter. The same natural category, the what, is supplies. But you are reminding me of the second thing that you need to track, which is the function or the why of the expense. By the way, Heather, that's wrong as well. All right. So the second thing you need to track about expenses is why you spent it. Okay. So if I bought paper at Office Depot for a program, I was going to print out pamphlets to use in my awareness campaign, then the expense account is supplies, but the why is the Aware campaign program, or program A. I just called it here program B. What are programs? That is the initiatives that your organization does in service of their mission. So in the example that I use when I teach, I have an organization called Synergy Now, and their programs, I use a class list for that, okay? And Sol said that. So if you look at my class list, now I'm going to go to my all lists, and I'm going to go to my class list, you'll see that I have three programs. I have a STEM lab, I have a program called Thrive, and I have a program called Excel. Okay. So what happens is when I enter a transaction in QuickBooks, and in QuickBooks, to enter transactions manually, you click the plus new. To enter them automatically from the download, you go into the bank feed, which we'll do in a minute. But anyway, I'm going to go to a check. Let's say I'm going to write a check. So Gregg says there's three things I need to track on it. So let's say, is Office Depot in here? Yeah, Office Depot's here. So what I'm going to do is here in the category, I'm going to put what it's for, office supplies or other supplies. Here, I'm going to put the class list is what program it related to. And if it didn't relate to a program, perhaps it was just supplies for the office, then I'll just put admin right there. Okay. So those are two things we need to track. So the person, Heather, who said fundraising expense. So a third class besides your programs and admin is fundraising, because that's not a what the expense is, that's why the expense is. So if I have an expense account, Heather does, called fundraising expense, and I'm on your board, I don't know what the heck that's for. Is it what I'm trying to picture my mind what you spend it on, and I can't tell. All I know is that it's supposedly for fundraising. But is it travel for fundraising? Is it meals and entertainment for fundraising? Is it supplies for fundraising? Is it the software for your CRM for fundraising? So I need to know the what and the why. Okay? This is the what and this is the why. Okay? All right. And so that's why when you go to a 990, and I know there's a third thing we got to track, which we'll talk about it in a second, but I'm going to go to a 990 PDF right now. Let me see. Where is the 990? I wonder if I can get it from here. That's the postcard. That's all the postcard. Let me try this again. 990 PDF. How about this?
In the meantime, for everyone, we love the interaction. Thanks so much for putting all of your comments in the chat. But also, we're going to have about 15 minutes of live Q&A. So please feel free to put your questions in the chat, or even better, in the Q&A section down below your screen.
I do not understand. Every time I ask for a 990 PDF, I can always get, oh, you know why? Because it's searching in Yahoo. And Yahoo sucks. All right, let's see. Here we go. This might work. There we go. Well, that's the instructions. Oh my God. I'm so mad. Hold on. I'm determined to show this to y'all. 990 PDF download. I need to go back into Google. I'm sorry.
See if I can.
Okay.
Like, I think I got it. Yeah, it is usually it's that I can share my screen if it's good for you. Or let me just link in the chat.
Okay. Is
There
it the
you
whole thing?
It seems like it's just standard 990.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
And you're right. It was
all right, and I'm right here. So when you look at the functional expenses, this is the expenses, you're going to see that it wants to know what the expense is. Is it legal? Is it accounting? Is it payroll taxes? Is it office? Is it rent, which is occupancy? Is it travel? That's the what of the expense. But then it's going to ask, is it for program? Is it for management in general? That's admin. And is it for fundraising? So see, that's why when you are in QuickBooks, you got to tell it both things, the what and the why. Okay. The third thing that you have to tell it, let me go back here. Well, you all tell me, what else do you have to know about an expense besides the what it is and the why it is? What other things do you need to track about your expenses? Anyone have any ideas? You can just guess. Put it in the chat. Well, the amount and everything. Which grant is funding it? Yay. That's right. So if it is a grant that is paying for it, we need to get a little P&L for that grant. So that's the third thing we need to track. We need to track the grant that paid for it. Okay. So that's the third thing we need to track. Now, if you go here, we have this field for the what, we have this field for the why. This is the who. This is who paid for it. And you put your grant right there. Okay. So you put it in the customer list. So what that means is, and I'm almost done, I can look at a P&L. Okay. I can look at a P&L using just the what it is so that board members will understand this. Okay. Just the what. I can also display columns by class because that's the field we use to track the why. Now I can see a P&L for each program and for admin and for fundraising. So it looks exactly like I would need it to fill out the tax return. Now, what I did, I created a parent class called program, and I put all of these subs against it. And there is an app called Right Tool. It's a free app that you can get off of the internet, and it will help you in QuickBooks. It simply overlays QuickBooks and puts some extra functions in it. It's free. And one of the extra functions is it'll collapse all of the subclasses to the parent so that you can see. See where I put that on. For some reason, it's not showing on this. Oh, probably because it's a memorized report. But it allows me to collapse all these so I can just see total programs, total admin, and total fundraising. And that's what you need on your 990. Okay. Now, the third thing that you're going to want is you're going to want to track, get a P&L for each one of your grants. Okay. So I'm going to go over to a different data file for that. And I'm going to do a little report that'll show you that you can get a P&L for grants. So I'm going to go over here to just a standard report. And I'm just going to run a P&L. Now, depending upon how you have your QuickBooks set up, it might be called a statement of activity. Mine's called a P&L. Either one, it's the same exact report. They have two different formats that you look at reports in QuickBooks. They have the classic view, which is the view that everybody loves, and they have the modern view, which they added last year, and it sucks and everyone hates it. Okay, and it's awful. It's confusing. So I'm going to switch back to the classic view. I'm going to make the date range all dates because grants, run between fiscal years. I'm going to make the columns, instead of the columns being by class, that gives me the why, I'm going to make it by customer. It's going to give me a P&L not only for the grants, but for every single transaction that I pointed to a customer. So that's a little much, but I can customize this report, and I can go to the filters, and I can say, I don't want all my customers. I just want the ones that are grants. And I made all of my grants a sub under restricted grants. And then I can run a report that gives me a P&L for each one of my grants. So like on the Villa Foundation grant, I got in 190. I've spent 72. I have 117,000 left. Okay. So that's what the dealio is. Now, I'm going to stop talking, and then I'm going to answer questions because I could go on forever. I will say one thing though. If you like the way that I teach, um, we have a 3-day webinar series that's coming up. It's a live webinar series. It's 2.5 hours a day. I'm going to take all kinds of breaks. We're going to laugh. We're going to have fun. It's happening May 13th, 14th, and 15th, and you can get tickets there. Um, the whole 3 days is $299, but we're going to give you a coupon off, $40 off, and it's give 40 off. And the only people that get it are the people that did this Giveffect. Now it expires in next week, so you got to do this coupon, but you can go to the 3-way webinar. So I'm done. All right. Rest of the time we're doing questions. Talk to
Thank you
me.
so much. And we'll send that information in the email too. So please, open the email when you receive it.
Yeah. So
When the
I'll
report
go ahead and answer Susan first.
is due.
So grants are listed as customers. If you have multiple grants from the same organization, would there be each grant needs to be its own name. So if you get a grant every year from the same person, it's got to be a separate name so you can track them individually. Okay, go for it.
There was one question previously in the chat from Cheryl, former board member, set organization up in QuickBooks a number of years ago, but never used bank reconciliation function. Any tips on using this function?
Yes. So if you've never used the bank rec before, then you're going to have to do one big fat bank rec to get caught up. Okay. So you go to the gear, you go to where it says reconcile. This is the beginning number here will be 0 because you've never done a bank rec before, or maybe somebody did it years ago. You'll say, okay, what is it, April 17th? You go, okay, I'm going to go start. Let's do December 31. So December 31 of 24, you put the ending bank statement balance. Okay. Then you click start reconciling. Oh, that's the statement date. Whoops. I did it backwards. 12/31/24. Okay, I'll just leave that. We'll act like that's the bank statement balance. Then what you do is rather than going through 15 years and checking stuff off, you pray. Then after you're done praying that this is going to work, you check things off individually by checking these. But what I do is I take the top circle right here and it checks every one of them off. And then you look at your bank rec that hopefully you've done manually and you uncheck the ones that didn't clear. And that should make it 0. If it's not 0, then your books are screwed up. If it's small difference, you do a journal entry and move on with life. If it's a big difference, you need help. All right. Enough of that. Next question.
Next question from Veronica. This is a fiscally sponsored nonprofit project. And right now, because they're fiscally sponsored, they're not eligible for the tax sub discount for the QuickBooks. Do you have any recommendations how project under fiscal sponsorship still can access nonprofit pricing for QuickBooks?
Oh, yeah. If you don't have a 501c3, then you can't buy QuickBooks from TechSoup, is what she's saying.
That's what.
So, I think you're going to have to pay into it. I don't have a better answer for you. The other option is if you can find an old copy of QuickBooks Desktop, you could conceivably use that. This is QuickBooks Desktop. So if you go to Amazon, you might be able to buy a cheap version of QuickBooks Desktop and use that.
Great.
Okay.
All right.
What else?
We answered this last week. So Karen, you might want to go back to the recording, but the question was, if we already have QuickBooks, can we switch to TechSoup?
So yes, you can. So if you go to TechSoup, so if you're going to say you've been paying QuickBooks Online and you've been paying into it and you're paying them $100 a month or whatever, if you go to TechSoup, got to be a member first. And then I'm going to, I just clicked on the Intuit logo and it's going to take me to the Intuit products. And you click this one here, advanced, don't get plus, get advanced. I'm going to click it. It's the only one that allows you to back up. So once you pick it, this migration support, if you add this from TechSoup, then it's us. We will take your QuickBooks Online data file and migrate it over. Okay.
Wonderful. Let's go next from Emmanuel. We are a nonprofit organization managing multiple grants, and we are in the process of moving more of our financial operation in-house. During a recent meeting, it was mentioned that creating an accurate budget can be challenging using desktop software, especially when new grants come in mid-fiscal year. Does QuickBooks Online make it easier to manage these kinds of budget changes and mid-year additions? And would it still pose a challenge?
Okay. Yes, QuickBooks Online does make it easier. And the reason why in QuickBooks Desktop, in this program, you can only have one budget for the year. But in QuickBooks Online, if you get a big change in the middle of the year, you can create additional budgets in QuickBooks Online. So if I go to where the budgeting is, and this was my original budget, I can make a duplicate of it, and then I can change the duplicate, change the name of it, and then I have my original budget and my new budget. You can also budget by grant, and you can budget by program. Can you transfer from Blackballed Finance to QuickBooks Online? I'm sure you can, Raymond. I ain't doing it, okay? You probably find somebody that can help you with that, but it sounds like a nightmare to me. We are a nonprofit that awards grants to other nonprofits, but we do not receive grants. How does that differ from regarding who a customer is? So people that you pay are vendors. So when you grant awards to other nonprofits, those nonprofits are vendors. So put them in your vendor list. Okay. Next question.
All right. How can you tailor QuickBooks to be used for churches? Do you have any?
So churches are different than everybody else. So if you go to our website and you go to on-demand courses, we have an on-demand course that's only for churches. Okay. And wait. Oh, training courses. That's where you go. You go to complete training courses. I'm sorry. So we have a training called Houses of Worship. And in there, we teach you what to do. But the bottom line, I'm just going to tell you this. You know how if you're a house of worship, you have all these designated funds and money comes in and money goes out? Well, what we do is we set them up as liability accounts with ins and outs so that the only thing that ends up on your P&L is the actual operations that you budget for. And then the funds go in and out so you can look on the balance sheet and see what the balance in the fund is. But this training goes into that. It's called Houses of Worship, and it's under courses and training, complete training courses. Next question.
When I search for a donor, why doesn't QuickBooks show a total of how much has been donated?
Okay, so this, when you go to the customer list, that's where your donors are. Donors are customers. Some people can actually change the name in QuickBooks Online. It says donors instead of customers here. But if I put, Bill Sims Foundation or whatever, and it gives me a list of transactions. Oh, that person, hold on. Let me go to one that's not a project. Sorry. Customers. I'll just pick this Ashford. Okay. So the transaction list isn't showing for them. The reason why is because they entered the donations not using the sales receipt form, which is really the best way of doing it. Take my training and you'll learn. Instead, they entered it by using the make deposit window or entering it directly from the download. You see this thing that says all transactions? If you say, show me all the transactions here plus deposits, I guarantee you'll start seeing your number there. Okay. Next question.
Wonderful. I recently changed PayPal from a bank transaction download to the APP transaction PayPal connector. I have set up my product individual donation with the class. However, when I create a sales receipt from the transaction, it doesn't populate the class. It used to work correctly previously with bank transactions. I don't know if
So the payroll, and this is way deep, but when you created the product service to use on the sales receipt, I'm going to edit it. Did you assign a class here? I don't know if they did or not, but that should work. If it still doesn't populate, you need tech support. You need to call me and I need to look at it. Next question.
What is the disadvantage of having grants under a separate company versus adding it as a class in a main company?
Well, first, you don't add it as a class in the main company. Your grants, remember, I'll show this again. Your grants are customers. Here you put the what? Postage. Here's you put the why? Fundraising. We did a mailing. Here you put who paid for it. This grant. You use customers, not class. Okay. The reason that it's good not to keep it in a separate company is because it's all the same nonprofit. I don't want to do your 990 if I have to try and consolidate two different data files. And if I'm an auditor, which I am, and I'm auditing your books, I want to see that the grants were used based on the stuff in your books that I'm auditing, not based on a separate place. Okay. So Lynn says, yes, she assigned the class when the product was set up. It's not working. I need to do tech support to see. Okay.
Wonderful.
You want to finish? You got any more?
We have just two quick questions if you're
Sure.
already at the time. So, and one of them is we spoke about it last week, but if someone transitioning from desktop to online, what are the main advantages?
The main advantages is one, you can access it from anywhere, anytime, as opposed to having to either be in front of the computer or log into it or have it hosted. And two, you can download transactions from the bank feeds and add them automatically, and it's always free. And three, actually, it's cheaper than desktop now. Okay.
And actually, I'm going to add four, which is QuickBooks Online integrates with the majority of your CRMs, online gaming platform, and so on. And it's not always the case for desktop. And I think, Greg, you mentioned that QuickBooks Desktop, eventually, they don't do much updates and things to it.
Yeah, they're no longer updating QuickBooks Desktop.
The future is online. So
yeah. Now, Terry says QuickBooks only uses revenue and not a liability account. What is she talking about, Terry? Of course there's liability accounts. So I'm not sure what you're talking about, Terry.
Terry, we follow up on that one. But everyone, thank you so much. We're a little bit over time. I think, Emmanuel, you had a question about the quick training, and Greg has so many trainings available on his website, and he generously offered 40% coupon off for
$40. $40. So write this down right now. Give for Giveffect 40 and then OFF. And you'll get $40 off when you sign up for the 3-day webinar that's happening May 13th, 14th, and 15th from 2 to 4:30. Okay. If you don't want to do that, you can get our training bundle or you can get tech support for a year. So we should probably send them these codes. Tech support, you can call in, you can remote in, we can remote into your computer and set up appointments and answer your questions. So the tech support is Give for Giveffect, and then TS for tech support, and then 299. So write that down too. But the main thing I want you to do is I want you to come to this thing because we're going to have fun.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Greg. Thank you so much for everyone who found this time to learn more about QuickBooks and join us for the speed learning session. Have a fantastic Thursday, end of your week, and we'll see you again next month for our next topic. Thank you. Bye.